Hi, everybody. Coming to you from Rick's Trophy Room this week. Lot of neat stuff in this trophy room. We're going to talk about. I'm going to touch on a subject that's hot right now, and that's these cars flying in the air, getting up in the air, getting air under them, flipping and all that. A couple things that's irritated me a little bit about that. So the cars are flying in there. The air is getting under them. They're getting up. They're flipping. We saw that at Daytona. Everybody's got an opinion about it. So, quickly, if we go back, 80s, whatever, 7 or 88, 87, 88, Bobby Allison gets in the fence at the start-finish line at Talladega. So, as the story goes, the liability carriers, insurance companies with NASCAR, said, we can't have this, cars getting in the grandstands. Of course, we all know we can't have that. So, also the story goes that somehow or another, 200 miles an hour was the magic number that they put on this thing that the cars couldn't go over. Whether all that's true or not, I don't know. I'm just telling you that was a story that we've all heard for years. So what happened, France, Billy Jr. had to slow the cars down. And believe me, the last thing this dude wanted to do was put restrictor plates on race cars to slow them down. But, because of the insurance, we had to do that. Now, all through the years, we fought this and fought it at Talladega, Daytona. What it started doing, it started getting us in a big pack. I remember early on at Talladega, we were running too wide, and I looked in the mirror and I saw somebody coming, it looked like up through the middle. And all of a sudden that car went by me. I was on the inside lane. Whoever's on the outside, this car split us and went between us. And I watched this dude go all the way to the front of the pack by himself in the second lane, or the middle lane that nobody was in, that we had never discovered before. And the guy's name was Billy Standridge, if anybody remembers that name. And I remember thinking, damn, what's this all about? Well, the first thing you know, everybody figured that out. So now we're running 3 wide, deep as you can go, from the front to the back. And I remember when the race was over thinking, damn, what was that? What was that about? Then the next week, I'll never forget, Dale Jarrett came to me and he said, Rick, I said, yeah. He said, man, have you ever experienced anything like what we went through last week with that 3 wide stuff? I said, no. First time for me, Dale. He said, first time for me too, Rick. From that moment forward, that's what we've had at these places. The plates have made these tracks or these races, tight like that, 3 wide and all that stuff. But anyhow, what I want to take issue with a little bit is I heard a couple, I don't know if they're journalists or people that comment on our sport for the media, suggesting that maybe we need to slow the cars down, all right? And one of me went so far as to say, 20 or 30 miles an hour. We need to slow them down 20 or 30 miles an hour. I can't tell the difference. I don't see the difference in that. Well, maybe you can't, but I can. 20 or 30 miles an hour, yes, you can tell that. You'll know that. And it's not just the speed, but it's like an overall feeling you'll get. Now, 3 or 4 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour, yeah, I can't see it. You can't see it. Fans can't see it. But this notion of slowing them down 20 or 30 miles an hour, no. Was it Hemingway who made the famous quote, the only true sports are mountain climbing, bull riding, and auto racing? And I guess that was made he probably made that quote in the 60s, maybe, I don't know, when auto racing was very, very, very dangerous. So we're losing so many lives. Fighting a bull, I'm not getting in a ring with a bull and fighting that thing. Mountain climbing, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. But anyhow, I think what he meant by that, there's a fear factor in these things. In auto racing, there's always been a fear factor. And I think, well, I don't think, I know. Part of the lure of our sport is the fear of what these drivers are putting themselves in for, right? If you're a race car driver, man, you know what you're signing up for. Now, granted, this thing is safer now than it's ever been. The guys, they're doing all this wrecking. They're not really getting hurt much any longer, other than, the head deal with Kurt and the other dude. But anyhow, they're it's safer. It's the safest it's ever been. And we've taken, by doing that, maybe you take a little bit of the fear factor out for the fans that's watching it. I don't know. But if you're a race car driver, you accept this. When you get in that race car that you might not come back or you might get hurt. I mean, and believe me, it's nothing fun about getting upside down in these race cars, especially at these big racetracks. Man, you're listening to, you're hearing this from a guy that did it, right? I was on my roof at Talladega at 204 miles an hour, and believe me, there's nothing fun about that. You know, you're riding along upside down, and you're like, you realize it seems like an eternity, but it's only a few short seconds. You realize that you have no control over anything. I mean, there's nothing in your life in that moment that you control, right? It's totally in God's hands, or the safety's hands, however you want to look at it, you know, and however you end up. So race car drivers know this. If there was ever a race car driver that said we need to slow the cars down, I don't want that race car driver to be representing my sport, right? That's not the mentality to have. That's not the right mentality. I don't care if somebody wants to take issue with that. Fine, take issue with it. But, you know, part of being a race car driver is accepting the fact that you can get hurt. I mean, when y'all have seen this quote many times from me, guys. If you race them, you're going to wreck them. If you wreck them, sometimes it hurts. And sometimes you get hurt, right? And then sometimes it's even worse than that. But having lived through that in my era with broken bones, concussions, shoulder, all kinds of stuff, right? You know, you accept that and you go on. Again, right now the cars are safe. They're safer than they've ever been. To keep the cars down, this is all about keeping the cars out of the grandstands. We know that, we understand that, we respect that, we accept that. The fences at these tracks, we've shown that they seem to withstand or will hold these cars in the racetracks now, like Austin Dillon did it. It was at Newman, somebody, I don't know, it's been 4 or 5 of these cars up in these sketch fences now, and they just spit them back out on the racetrack, which is a good thing. But I'm just saying, I'm afraid we don't need to unfair our sport. But I don't mean that fans go to watch crashes and people get hurt. That's not what this is about. I don't think most fans, for the most part, don't want to see guys get hurt. They just don't. You see action. You see if somebody does have a bad crash, it's going to happen, and that adds to the excitement of our sport. Again, auto racing, one of the appeals is the fear factor. There's no way out of that. If you go to Daytona, all right, you're going to slow them down 30 miles an hour. You take 30 miles an hour away from them, or 20 miles an hour right now, and go to Daytona and sit in the grandstands and watch it. I'm telling you right now, you won't have those same people come back for the next race, because it is not the same. It's not something you sit there and think, man, they're going 30 miles an hour slower. You're not saying that. You're saying when they come by you and you look at them go by, you're like, damn, what's so special about this? You know, this big old track and they're just lumbering by. No, dude. When they come by, when those race cars come by you as a fan, your breath has to be taken away. We've seen videos of people standing near the fence at some of these large tracks when they come by the first lap, especially the first time fans, and the cars come by at such a tremendous amount of speed, and the air and the noise, and these people, they just get blown back, and they're like, crap, what was that all about, right? You cannot take that away from our sport. You just can't do it. If anybody thinks that you can do that and still have the same appeal, I'm telling you, it's not going to be. It's just not going to happen. Again, it's a feeling. It's a feeling you have when you're at this event. And, you know, for the people that follow our sport, or the people that write or report on our sport to come up with these things, yeah, I understand. You're thinking about what to do to keep the cars on the racetrack. Well, guess what? Cars are going to get up. If you wreck, if you race, you're going to wreck, right? And sometimes when you get sideways and things get just right, you're going to flip. You're going to get up in the air. Air is going to get under your car. I don't give a darn what NASCAR does. They've done so many things right now that the cars, for the most part, stay on the ground better than they've ever done in our history, right? When I got sideways, we didn't have roof flaps, right? Not even sure we had a window lip. I don't know what we have. Anyhow, I just got sideways, went up in the air, right? And then the wreck started. But you know, sometimes, guys, you just got to accept the facts. The facts are racing is a dangerous sport, and you have to accept that, right? Again, we don't want them getting up in the grandstands, but they've already said 200 miles an hour is the magic number. We're keeping them at 200 or under. You can't slow them down more. Hell, these poor drivers right now, they're running some of these racetracks almost wide open because we've got them choked down so bad. I mean, they do it. Atlanta is now a mini Talladega or mini Daytona, right? You go to some of these places, go like Texas, they're just barely getting out of the gas. You take more speed out of them, they're going to be holding them wide open at half the tracks to go to. And that's not good for racing. It's not good for the drivers. The drivers hate it. You can't, there's no acceleration. Your car won't pull up and won't do things. You just can't do that. You cannot take but so much speed out of these race cars and expect to have the appeal that makes this sport of ours, NASCAR, or any of the racing for that matter, so important or so exciting, right? It's just not, you're not going to do it. I mean, again, if you're a driver, you want to slow them down, man, go bag groceries at Walmart. Go do something else. Don't be involved with this. If you're a follower of our sport and you report on our sport, right? Think about what I'm telling you. Think about, maybe Rickhead's got a point. We don't need to slow these cars down, but we do need to keep them safe. And then with all that being said, you've got to accept the fact the cars are going to friggin' get up in the air. They'll do everything they can, and they're doing it right now to keep them on the racetrack, keep them down. But racing's racing. If you take all the fear out of it, it's gone. It's not going to be relevant any longer. So anyhow, that's my take on that.